Territorial Defense Forces media studios in Kyiv. And our story today is from the front lines, where General Tarnowski, the commander in the Taurian direction, told us yesterday that he witnessed the destruction of a Ka-25 Alligator helicopter. However, we have more news from the battles, and that includes casualties from the Russians, totaling nearly 100 Russian service members killed and more than 150 wounded and or captured. So tremendous work by the ZSU in the direction of the Taurian region. We can also report that they destroyed a Yastreb Ave radar station, 4 vehicles, and 8 artillery systems. Also this morning, Deputy Defense Minister Hannah Maller spoke on national television over the difficult experiences that the troops of the armed forces of Ukraine are going through as they mount both counteroffensive actions and holding the line in other areas of the east and northeast in the directions of Kupiansk, Mariinka, Avdiivka, in Liman. However, as we have reported on Ukraine in the Know multiple times in the past several weeks, our lines are holding. Furthermore, we are continuing our advances. It doesn't matter how it's measured, as long as we get to that finish line, and that finish line being the complete liberation of Ukraine, the complete deoccupation of Ukraine, and a return to the nation's internationally recognized 1991 borders. Speaking of the recognition of the country's 1991 borders, there was a rumor that took root in the Wall Street Journal that at the Saudi Arabian-hosted peace summit, the diplomats representing Ukraine had in some way seeded the notion that a return to the country's 1991 borders and the full deoccupation were not necessary before beginning peace talks with the Kremlin and the Russian war criminals. However, in a statement put out today by the Ministry of Defense, as well as President Zelensky's office yesterday, it has been confirmed that nothing has changed in the regard of what will constitute peace discussions. Peace talks can only begin when all of the Russian invaders have left Ukraine, and at that point, what would peace look like? It begins with President Zelensky's 10-point peace formula that was rolled out last year, and that has still been the goal of all the people of Ukraine, as well as the armed forces. Also on the international front, we can report that the Russian Federation has informed the United Nations, as is necessary under their law, that they are intending to declare martial law as a prelude to full-scale mobilization. In the Russian Federation, they have already stated that martial law has been instituted in 4 regions of Ukraine that are temporarily and illegally occupied by the Russian invaders, and therefore we are watching the situation closely there to make certain that no Ukrainians are forced to fight against Ukrainians. Speaking of Ukrainians turning against Ukrainians, a collaborator was caught in Kherson region who signed a loyalty oath to the Russian Federation in order to torture prisoners in occupied regions of Kherson. He was captured today and is facing more than a decade in prison for his collaborations. Furthermore, an agent network was caught in the east consisting of female agents in the Donetsk Oblast. They were all caught today as well. Again, the crackdown on collaborators continues, as well as the crackdown on corruption. In Kyiv, we were able to report just before going on air that a people's deputy was arrested for trying to sell out land belonging to the National Academy of Agrarian Sciences for $85,000 in kickbacks. Again, a sitting deputy arrested for trying to take bribes. The crackdown on corruption will continue as Ukraine wins both on the battlefield and in the future to guarantee that democracy will stay in the way that the people have demanded over the last 30 years. Lastly, we will turn to the Polish-Belarusian border, where the Polish defense minister has announced a buildup of troops that will continue. And as stated earlier on social media, Belarus and Wagner Group stand no chance against our Polish allies. Slava Ukraini May God bless our troops, our soldiers, our pilots, our sailors, and most of all, the people who are putting up the resistance against the Russian enemy as we continue towards full liberation.